And then there's this. The United States Supreme Court is allowing U.S. Border Patrol agents to remove razor wire deployed by the Texas GOP Governor Greg Abbott, as well as the Texas National Guard. Abbott's security initiative at the U.S.-Mexico border has been challenged in court. The vote was 5-4. The justice's order is a victory for President Joe Biden in his ongoing desire to bring as many illegal aliens into the United States of America as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. Now, the last portion of that sentence is my extrapolation as to what is going on, but I beg of you to tell me what else is going on. The Biden administration refuses to accept that theirs is a failed border security policy at the southern border. And it does not have to be this way. And it makes me sick to my stomach that there are Americans willing to accept this. We should be clamoring for more out of our White House. And we do. You and I do. Reasonable people do. Rational people do. I don't know that Democrats can defend this. They ignore it more than anything. Obviously, Democrat leaders at the southern border in those border communities recognize the serious nature of the problem. Obviously, Democrats like Eric Adams in New York City, whatever his name is in Chicago, Illinois, Brandon Johnson, I guess, is the new mayor over there, and other mayors in quote-unquote sanctuary states or sanctuary cities, they're recognizing the issue as the issue is brought to them by some of the southern states or some of the border states like Texas, Arizona, and others. However, the Supreme Court in a razor, no pun intended, thin majority, even with a conservative court, John Roberts and I guess it was Roberts and Barrett, Coney Barrett, who voted with the three Democrats, or pardon me, that's not what you're supposed to say, Murphy, the leftists on the courts. They're not Democrats or Republicans, that's what we're told. They joined the leftists on the court in determining that the federal government should be unfettered in the execution of its duty with regard to southern border security. Now, for a lot of us, this is like, what in the hell are you people talking about? Now, obviously, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh all said they would have denied the federal request. This is not deciding the ultimate issue as to what responsibility the federal government has versus what rights the state has to carry out those responsibilities with regard to border security. The final question is still to be decided. This was a stay in the case. The federal government asked for the Supreme Court they filed an emergency request to the justices. The appellate court has now stated that it would expedite its review of the case, a decision the state has argued undermined a need for quick action by the nation's high court. According to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, in any case, cutting Texas's fencing to wave thousands of people into Texas has nothing to do with inspection, apprehension, or removal. The district court's findings demonstrate more that the administration's actions are so far removed from what Congress has authorized, they have nothing to do with their statutory authority. So let me get to the bottom line on the case. What the state is arguing is that the federal government is not doing what Congress has told them to do. That the executive branch of government is actually doing quite the opposite. While border security is designed to keep those who are illegally coming in out, what the Biden administration is doing, they're using their authority to control border security to let them in, which is 180 degrees out of phase with what they are supposed to be doing. It is a constitutional question, and it rises to the level of constitutional crisis. The easy remedy for this is for people to recognize what is going on, get pissed off enough to speak back to their elected representatives and get something done quickly. The longer-term remedy is to go to the polls in November of 2024 and vote these SOBs out of office and put someone in office that will protect our sovereignty and our border security. The Supreme Court is an equal branch of government to Congress and to the executive branch. They are going to be loath to enter into this dispute between those two bodies and the state itself. Now, Texas could easily say that the federal government can go pound sand. What are they going to do? What are they going to do indeed? However, I would suggest to you that we are not going to beat those that consistently and regularly violate the rule of law by violating the rule of law on our own. And the Constitution gives ultimate authority to the federal government to protect our borders. But when the federal government abdicates that responsibility, is there a further responsibility on the part of the states? And Abbott and his team has argued, yes, there is a further responsibility on the part of the state to protect the citizens of Texas when the federal government refuses to do so. And I would agree with that. The state has function here too. However, when it comes to loggerheads in a traditional scenario, the federal government's going to win because they have ultimate authority to determine how best to secure the southern border, unless the courts determine that that's not what they're doing. If the courts determine that their purpose, and I've been arguing this for a long time, I believe the purpose of the Biden administration is to let as many people into this country as they possibly can, illegally or otherwise. I believe that's their purpose. They would argue, well, they don't even argue border security anymore, for goodness sake. They make the argument, actually, that they need more funding. Karine Jean-Pierre said it yesterday. I've got the clip. Well, if we just had more money, it's just such a bogus Bravo Sierra argument on its face. In the meantime, you have the optics available to you, and I think we should utilize these optics and present it to the entirety of the United States of America of this wire happening. I mean, you've got this razor wire, they're calling it. And illegal aliens come across the border, and literally the federal government is cutting the wire to allow them in. It is beyond maddening. But ultimately, we hold the keys, and I don't mean to put the responsibility back on your lap, because I understand with the way that Tennessee is going to go in all of this. I understand where we are on this, but ultimately, whatever authority is granted to the federal government through the Constitution of the United States is given to the federal government by us, we the people. And we do so first and foremost with our vote. There is a very easy way to demonstrate our displeasure with the current manner in which the federal government is executing its duty at the southern border, and that is to vote these people out of office. Sally writes in and says, the authority was given to the federal government by the states. We should take it away. It's the only way the feds will listen. Well, in order to do that, you're going to have to make some changes to the Constitution of the United States of America. And I understand what you're saying there, Sally. The easiest way to demand that the federal government do its job per the Congress of the United States and per the Constitution is to vote someone into office that will, in fact, do their job.